Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the magic mask and power window to do some facial blurring, and I have another bonus at the end of the video using magic mask for something else. So stick around. So we can go from this to this. So let's show you how we did this. I'm going to disable our second node here. On the first node, let's have a circular power window over his face, and went over to the tracker and just tracked it forwards and backwards. So as you can see, if we play, it latches onto his movement pretty well. On the second node, I added a mosaic blur effect from the effects library and dropped that on there. And then just took the alpha output out of our first window node and fed that into the blur so it knows to blur only where the mask is. So that's the traditional way if you don't have the studio version. I'm going to disconnect this window and show you the magic mask version here on this node. So I'll drop this one in line and we'll disable the blur, and I'll feed the alpha output out here. And if we go to the magic mask version, click on the magic mask and go to where our set of tools are here. If we turn the overlay, you can see it's highlighting just his face. For some reason, when I tell it to go back to the tools, it has to cache or something in order to get it to work. But essentially, I just swiped over his face here and did a little bit of post refinement, and I chose the better mode. So now you can see it's highlighting his face, leaving out part of his ear here, and then let it track all the way through. Fed the alpha output. If we turn our mask off and turn the mosaic blur back on, you can see what this one looks like. So it's got a little bit wider of a blur pattern, goes up into his hair. So it looks a little bit different than the traditional one, but it works. And then the last feature I wanted to show you guys is this node here, and it's titled hair. And as you can see, I'm just isolating his hair, and I chose the negative picker to exclude his face. And what I did here was changed his hair color. So if we go full screen, here's what he looked like before, and here's after. So on this particular one, I chose features, and they had a drop down here for what you wanted to try to sample. I chose hair, and I gave it a few of these extra strokes and negative on his face to exclude that. And if we choose the overlay, you can see it's pretty much getting all of his hair. There's a little bit of sideburn here we could clean up, but for the most part, not too bad. And if we turn the overlay back off, I didn't think it was going to be able to do this as well as it did, but it actually ended up working pretty well. And to get the look going, all I did was reduce the shadows here. So you could still play around with it a little further. If you wanted to use the custom curves, you can do that as well. And we'll put that back. So just shadows here, kind of dropped it down like that. Maybe if we pull the highlights down a hair, I didn't want to go too much, so he kind of looks more dyed if you pull the highlights off the top here like that. It kind of starts looking ultra fake, but it worked pretty well. On a previous video, I showed you guys how to change the color of his shirt and then safe zone him where none of the blue from his shirt, when you pick the blue, it started to affect the poster in the background and these bookshelf items. So I showed you how to mask those out, and we changed the color of his shirt. I'll link that down in the description as well, but this is another feature to get his hair to change color, and I thought it did a pretty good job. Alright, thanks for watching. As always, leave a comment down below if you have any ideas you want me to try and tackle for video topics. And subscribe if you haven't, because it really helps the channel grow. So I'd appreciate it if you did that. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next video.